Hello, and welcome to this week's edition of Political Smackdown. I'm Andy Devin, I'm your host this week, and we've got our usual crew. Betsy is back with us. Everybody's wondering where you been. They said they really wanted Betsy to come back more entertaining than the rest of us.
That's why I wore my red.
I hear you. All right, let's get going on the first question here. This past week, SpaceX finally had their initial public offering. The market says now that the company is worth over $2 trillion. Elon Musk has become the world's first trillionaire while also making a new batch of millionaires. There's been a lot of discussion about how Musk could have achieved such a lofty goal without public investments in infrastructure such as schools, law enforcement, roads, you just name it. And if we had made those type of investments, could we're already back on Trump, Musk actually have been able to have this much success like that? All right, Wes, start us off.
Well, certainly not quite, nor would any of us.
That's true.
I mean, I've got to have a road to get to my office.
Mm-hmm.
Got to have a road for them to bring the paper for me to print. You've got to have roads to sell houses.
Yep.
We all went to school. There's no question the infrastructure is important, which is why we all pay taxes, Elon Musk included. But, you know, Mike, it tickles me, the people that created a $40 trillion debt seem to be upset because Musk created $1 trillion worth of wealth. You know, Tesla's taxes are reduced through accelerated depreciation, stock options, research and development credits. But yet in 2021, Musk set the record paying $11 billion in direct taxes. Granted, he probably didn't pay a gas tax after inventing that car. But like we all do, he paid exactly as much as he owed, following the laws set by Congress. And all businesses use these same deductions to allow for investment, to allow for growth. I think it's a great example of American greatness, ingenuity, of immigrant success. And Andy, you know as well as I do, it's not like there's a stack of $1 trillion he's sitting on. That's stock, it's paper. Doesn't mean anything until he sells it. 3/4 of it is SpaceX that just went public. It seems like we play this as if it's a zero-sum game. Somebody gave up $1 trillion for him to have $1 trillion. But that's not what happened. He created it. And he followed the laws just like we all do. And yes, Elon Musk paid taxes to help build the roads and everything else. And he saved like 90% of the cost of a rocket launch.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. I think a lot of times we forget about what we collectively do to make our society run and to help where innovation can come forward. Like he took he sold PayPal, and that's the start of his fortune. And it's hard to find. I mean, I never thought Tesla would take off like it did, because I'm not going to buy one, but he's selling them everywhere. I mean,
thanks to a lot of EV incentives by the Green New Deal type people.
Yep. So, I mean, it happens. Betsy, I'm sure you've got a thought or two on this.
Wes.
And so it begins.
Here we talk about the laws that the government have so that he can pay his fair share of taxes. They're not laws, they're loopholes. And here he got $38 billion. I cannot imagine trillionaire.
Isn't a loophole
billionaire.
law?
Well, it's still a loophole. And not all of us can get those loopholes because we don't have the wealth. But for SpaceX, $38 billion in government contracts and loans helped him achieve this mark as being the first trillionaire. It's just amazing. Yes, we pay taxes, and we talk about it, and we did argue about fair share, but and I'm sure, thank goodness, he paid that much. He probably should have paid more. But it's amazing to me how much money that one man can accumulate. And yet we have so much world hunger and things. He could do so much with his money to help the world.
He might.
Well, where does
I mean,
he do it?
it hadn't been-
He wants to go to Mars.
It hadn't been
Are we
that
going to
long-
send all the people that are hungry to Mars?
It hadn't been that long ago, people were just as critical of Bill Gates for all the money he had accumulated, and look what he's done with it.
Yes, look what he's done. He's a perfect example.
And a lot older
but
than Elon Musk.
is not one that I admire. I mean, I give him credit. You know, Tesla. I didn't know how it would go, but I'm not going to buy one of the cars. Number one, I can't afford it. But anyway,
Well, there's a tax credit, so you can.
But well, it'd have to be a pretty big tax credit. You know, I've got to pay my property taxes. But anyway, but you know, yes, he runs on the roads that we pay for, but I just don't think that a lot of times these laws allow the billionaires more loopholes to pay fair taxes. If everybody would pay, well, that's another question. Like Mike needs to talk to.
All right, Mike.
Well, certainly is true that no man is an island in the sense that nobody is 100% responsible for all their success. But Andy, there's a rule out there in real estate and other professions that 20% of the people do 80% of the production.
Yeah.
And we see that in culture generally. And if you don't reward the top producers, you're not going to get a lot of what they would otherwise produce. But it is true that SpaceX got a $500 million grant from NASA, but $500 million is only half of $1 billion, and already it's worth $960 billion. So it's a fraction.
I thought it got
That's what it
22
is.
billion. SpaceX.
According to what I pulled up this morning, he got a $500 million grant from NASA.
Well, that may be. I think
And
he got
then-
more for SpaceX.
This was SpaceX, according to what I looked up. But anyway, he once got a $465 million federal loan that was related to the development of Tesla and kept it afloat. But it has turned out to be a big deal. My biggest concern about electric vehicles and not electric vehicles is how are they going to help pay for the roads? We still haven't resolved that issue.
No, they haven't.
We have not.
But Andy, to your point, SpaceX is 70 to 80%, and what Wes said, it's about $960 billion of his wealth. And Tesla is between 260 and 280, and his other ventures are less than 1%. So his two big deals are Tesla and SpaceX. And I give him credit, and he's a smart man, and I can tell you that loopholes, whatever you want to call them, Betsy, they didn't create all of this wealth for him, but they gave him the incentives to use the brilliant mind he has. Who would ever thought the richest man in America would be from South Africa?
Nope.
You
Wasn't
know,
me.
but that's the way it is.
Well, he's going to have money. All these kids he keeps procreating
And
all
Wes, I
around.
can leave this subject, but kudos to him. But you know, last week Roger wore a red shirt, and I thought maybe Betsy was changing a little and had on her red clothes today, but I can see that it don't mean a thing.
Yeah, it doesn't sound. But you know, Andy, one of those loopholes that Tesla has used when they've lost money by going out on a limb, by taking a chance, they're allowed to roll that loss forward and offset some of their profit when they
Yes.
finally do. That's creating the profit incentive that drove all of this, again, to meet the demands that were largely created by people wanting to help the planet. This is the AOC car.
When it's all said and done, we still got to remember that you got to hook it up to a battery charger, and somewhere down the line, that power is being generated more than likely out of fossil fuels.
I'm not saying it's a good thing to have electric vehicles. I'm saying that's what people wanted.
That's what the market dictated.
People wanted government to create these incentives. They did. Tesla utilized them
Yep.
just like any of us could. They won.
And let's
Good for
face it,
them.
Democratic presidents largely helped create them.
Yes, they did. I
Yes.
mean, you had to start the whole
Yes.
infrastructure of all these chargers around. I mean, can you imagine just starting that from scratch? So anyway, well, I think it's a good thing overall. I think Mr. Musk has really tried to come up with some different thoughts on different things, and the market has rewarded him for that. All right, let's move on. The General Assembly may not be able to pass a budget, but they can make wholesale changes to election laws. House Bill 968 is 30 pages long and covers all kind of things, What does it do? Now, Betsy, you know, they seem like they keep wanting to tinker with election law and try and I don't quite understand what they think is wrong that they need to have all these laundry lists of stuff. I mean, when you say you tell an election board they can't encourage people to go vote, I mean, that's crazy.
Well, and you know, this bill was lying in the General Assembly, and it's not been really out and talked about, but there was a mass a group of Democrats and other people that were down there that when they put it to the floor, they were hollering, shame, shame, shame. And it is, you know, we ought to be encouraging and helping people vote. But the Republicans don't believe in that. They want to limit it to a certain group of people to vote. I mean, this bans paid signature gathering for political petitions. It slightly extends the deadline for counting absentee and provisional ballots. It expands the State Board of Elections' ability to hire private lawyers for legal disputes and making these communications exempt from the public records law, so it's done in the dark. Now, clarifying that an early or an absentee vote must be thrown out if the voter dies before Election Day, although that has already been. Reducing some campaign finance reporting requirements, requiring candidates to have registered with a political party for a full year to run in that primary, and other things and also it bans ranked choice voting statewide.
Thank God.
I never was in favor of ranked voting. It's too hard to explain.
That's a fact.
Empowered Dave Bolick to investigate election conduct in counties of his choice, not there's rules about how you get to somebody challenging an election. No, it's again limiting people the ability to go cast their ballots, and the Republicans have figured out when more people go vote, Democrats win.
Mike?
Well, House Bill 958 is 36 pages long, and it's been revised and expanded, but it did not get to the floor this week like they thought it would because there were enough questions. They've reached out and given some of the Democrats on the committee a couple of things they asked for to try to make it a little more bipartisan. It does deal with some things that local boards of election, who are all Republicans for the last year, the chairman, I mean, are all Republicans, they're going to get 2 or 3 more days up to the day before canvass if this becomes law in order to count provisional and disputed ballots or to give people an opportunity to bring their ID in. I don't have a problem with that as long as it's done before canvass, but dang it, the election needs to be over by canvass.
It does.
And so maybe the 3 days that they changed it to where it had been like 14, maybe that was a little too narrow, and they're thinking it'll go to what, 6 or 7 or 8 days because that's the date in canvass 10 days after the election. Mm-hmm. So I think there are some good things in it. Some will not see the light of day. I will note though that in the House, to get it out of committee, Willingham, the Democrat that Josh Stein helped defeat, that has not changed parties, he voted with the Republicans. So that tells me they probably will have enough votes if they get it to go through the House and the Senate to override a veto.
Wes?
Well, as Betsy went through the talking points, it sounded like there were several items in there that you supported. You said it.
I don't know about several.
You said it barely extends the time to clear the ballots. It nearly doubles the time to clear the ballots, which everybody pitched a fit when it was shortened. Now it's been lengthened, so that sounds like a positive thing, even from a Democrat perspective. One of the things that people who have never lived in North Carolina, it prevents them and don't live in North Carolina. It restricts their ability to vote. I think that's probably a good thing. It requires overseas voters to submit a photo ID, just like everybody else. I don't have a problem with that. It clarifies that the absentee vote, if you die before Election Day, is not counted. That's been adjudicated in court. This codifies it.
I never agreed with that. I think when you vote, if you're alive when you voted, it ought to be
It ought
counted. That's just me.
Well, as a Democrat, are you sure you have to be alive to vote?
We've kind of upped our standards now.
Well, that's good to know anyway, but I think most of these things are probably good. This has not been passed yet, and I'm sure there'll be some amendments to it to adjust it.
And they still got to deal with the Senate, so who knows what's going to happen over there. All right, folks, it's time for us to take a break. We'll be right back with the second half of Political Smackdown.
Hi, I'm Deb Harden, host of For Your Information. The goal of our show is to educate and entertain you about all things pets throughout Cleveland County. We have various guests joining me each month to talk about dogs, cats, pigs, whatever kind of pet you can think of. Also each month, we will be joined by some furry friends looking for their forever homes. For Your Information each month, right here on C19 TV and online at www.c19.tv.
Arsenic, cadmium, fluorine, formaldehyde, rubidium, lithium.
Do yourself a favor and don't image search for exploding e-cigarettes.
What you don't know about e-cigarettes can hurt you.
Are you ready to take all this in?
Two of the instructors became very much like friends. I felt like they were friends, that they wanted to help me, that they wanted to push me and nudge me up and not pull me down, that they didn't just disappear and have me work without being there to encourage me.
And welcome back to the second half. All right, let's get into something I read that Mike had shared with me from the Shelby Independent. Was a pretty interesting article about what went on in Shelby City Council this past week. And you know, the one thing the Uptown Shelby folks said that Uptown has added 10 new businesses, 3 expansions in the last year. And Mike, you and I both remember when there was all kind of available retail space in Uptown Shelby, but now it seems like it's a premium. You've got people that talk about the walkability of Uptown Shelby, and you start seeing more on the weekends. If you're uptown, people are walking everywhere. They've got their dogs with them, but the question I got, are we going to be like a little Asheville to have all this type of stuff going on like that? And I don't mean the political stuff. I mean just how people go out and walk and go to coffee shops and bookstores and all that sort of thing.
I liked your comments and questions until you started talking about Shelby being a little Asheville.
I thought that would get you. I thought it would.
And I guess I would say it depends on what you mean. But Uptown Shelby, as you know, Uptown Shelby Association was, if not the first, among the first few of these types of associations and municipal tax districts that were created back when towns were in such decline all across the South, and especially in North Carolina. Been going on since well before I even served in Shelby. And it has had a lot of success through the years, and yes, 10 new businesses and 3 expansions. That she didn't mention, I don't think, how many may have gone out of business, but these small startups don't always make it, and so it changes. But overall, we have to give a lot of credit. But I thought some of the more interesting stuff that the Uptown Shelby Association director said was that 14,000 people, by the way they have calculated it, commute into Shelby to work every day. 2,147 live here and work here, and 7,222 go to work from living in Shelby to going outside of Shelby somewhere to work. So about twice as many come into town to work as go out of town. That shouldn't really surprise us, I guess, but it's a good statistic to be aware of. And she presented data consisting of median household income, in which she said that Shelby has had a 32% increase in retail sales in the past 5 years, 3 times that of the county itself, which is significant. But Andy, you've heard me say for years that if you don't have a vibrant, prospering county seat, the whole county will be hurt by it. And so I think this is good news for all citizens of Cleveland County that the heart, the core of the county is doing well. I think that has to be an obvious thing. 60% of Cleveland County's annual retail sales occur in Shelby, and we have about 22% of the county's population. But that's where it ought to be. That's where the banks are. That's where the stores are. That's where Lowe's is. You know, that's where the biggest Walmart is. And that's not to say that Kings Mountain's not doing well. They are. But Shelby is the county seat, and I think we should be happy for it. The walkability score is probably the thing the mayor liked the best. He's big into the walkability, and they have done a lot of stuff with that, and it continues, as you know, going right through the heart of town right now to head down toward the southern city limits eventually. But kudos for Shelby for their things, and I don't mind us being a little Asheville if you mean walkability and vibrant business, but let's don't bring their politics here, please.
I figured that, or no drum lines or anything like that. All right, Betsy, you know, we all remember in the 80s when Cleveland Mall was constructed that you lost the big 3 retailers uptown.
Yes.
Phelps, JCPenney, and Sears.
Yes.
And for a long time, it was just like, it was just a ghost town uptown.
And used to, at that time, you know, whenever the Democratic Party would start looking for a headquarters uptown, it would not be that hard to find. But we were so lucky to get where we have a permanent headquarters now, and within walkability. And I thought it was a very uplifting article. One of the statistics that Mike didn't say was it said that Shelby sees 2,400,000 visitors a year. And I think that's a good number. And think about what we have and how it's been broadcast, and, you know, with the theaters and with the historical park. American Legion baseball, yes. I just think
local high school football
and
teams
the football
have been bringing
teams, yes, and sports, the football, the high school sports programs. But I just thought it was a good article, and Mike, I agree with you. If you have a thriving county seat, it certainly benefits the whole county. And, you know, Kings Mountain is growing, and it's going to grow. You know, now with the casino, they no longer have the big red snake. You go into the casino and you can gamble in the casino. It's not all finished, but, you know, it will bring more growth to that end of the county.
Well, I've heard a lot of good things about it.
I have too.
I've not been there. But
I haven't either. But, and I thought too that I liked it that they did the resolution where they added women coaches and officials to the Cleveland County Basketball Wall of Fame Memorial at Hollyoak Gymnasium. I thought that was well done by the City Council of Shelby. But I thought overall it was an excellent article.
I think so. Wes?
Well, I think Asheville is a good measuring stick. Recent headline, national headline, once charming mountain escape, now battling homelessness. Homeowners say turn the city into a no-go zone. So there's a lesson to be learned here with Asheville. Their mishandling of homelessness, defunding the police, the burdensome taxes, chasing recycling fantasies, and then obviously Helene on top of that. So kudos to Uptown Shelby. Mike, I agree with everything you said. This was a great report, and I think it's important for us to stay what has traditionally made Shelby the city of pleasant living. We need to watch our costs, we need to reduce our tax burden, and continue to be a unique destination spot and a great place to live.
And we need to keep utility rates competitive for our low-income people.
I agree.
Yes.
All right, let's go to our last question real quick, folks. Carolina Hurricanes are now the Stanley Cup champions for the second time. What does this say about the rest of our professional teams in this state? Kind of bad, aren't they, Wes?
Who cares? It's hockey. Move on.
All right, Betsy.
Well, I watched the game. My son, my sons are hockey fans, and I just think it's great that we have 2 national championships. I just want the Carolina Panthers to be there and some of the other teams in our state.
Me too.
Panthers made 1 Super Bowl, but they hadn't won 1, so it puts the burden on
made
them.
2.
They made 2.
Made 2, okay.
They made 2,
hadn't
but
won
they
one.
didn't win.
But I did watch some of that last couple of games. I kind of got into it at the end. Y'all know the biggest problem I have with hockey? I just don't believe, even though I got a fairly big screen TV at home, I can't keep up with the puck.
I agree.
Well, I've actually gone to Hurricanes game when they first came to town, and I'm gonna tell you, you can't follow that thing, and you're sitting right there behind the net, and they'll fly over the protector and everything. All right, let's go to our lightning round. Wes, what you got for us?
Well, very quickly, from the Memorandum of Understanding that was signed this week with Iran, I'm going to read point 9 of the 14 points. It reads, pending the final deal, the United States of America and the Islamic Republic of Iran agree to maintain the status quo. The Islamic Republic of Iran will maintain the current status quo of its nuclear program, and the United States of America will not impose any new sanctions and will not deploy additional forces in the region. At a cost of at least $50 billion and a death toll between 7,000 and 17,000, we won the status quo. Oh, the art of the deal.
Betsy.
I love Wes's lightning round. I visited presidential libraries last week. I went out to Independence to President Truman's home and his presidential library, and I'm just glad to see that President Obama's presidential library is opening this week, and it's going to be televised. And I encourage all of Cleveland Countyans, if you get a chance, go visit those libraries, no matter what the politics are, because they're fascinating.
Mike?
Well, I have sources this week that indicate to me that there will be no budget by the end of June for North Carolina. And if so, North Carolina will enter the final 12 months of the 2-year legislative cycle without a budget. Apparently, there are still more differences between the Senate and the House Republicans than can be resolved in June. On a lighter note, look at this cartoon Roger Harris sent us. What are 3 things that move faster than our General Assembly passing a state budget? Turtles, glaciers, and snails. Lord help us.
That was a good one.
Thank you, Roger.
That was really good. I found something in the New York Times this morning I thought was interesting. For the first time in 80 years, Japan and Germany are starting to rearm and rebuild their military, mainly because of problems from Russia and China. Boy, the way things change, they still stay the same. Well, I hope you enjoyed it this week. Hope you learned a little something, and we'll be back again next week with a new edition of Political Smackdown.
In the summertime, when the weather is high, you can stretch right up and touch the sky. When the weather's fine, you got women.
Looking for a smarter start to your future? Welcome to Cleveland Community College, where big dreams begin close to home. Whether you're launching a new career, transferring to a 4-year university, or building skills to level up, Cleveland Community College gives you the power to go further without the big price tag. With small class sizes, real-world training, and programs in healthcare, advanced manufacturing, IT, and more, we're here to help you succeed from day one. Affordable, accredited, and all about you. Enroll today and take your next step at Cleveland Community College.